Right now at 5, a Jasper County 5-year-old is hit and killed by a semi.
And we've got an already mild start out there. It's going to be hotter yet and could see some rain chances tonight. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, crews in Neosho, Missouri take down a nearly 100-year-old water tower.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. Boy, for some reason, it does not feel like 5 a.m.
No.
I was running late getting stuff done down here, and then I looked at the clock. It wasn't as late as I thought it was. It feels like it's a little, I don't know, something just doesn't feel, it feels like it's almost like the afternoon, you know? Yeah. Like it doesn't feel like it's the morning.
Yeah, I kind of
anyway,
get that.
Who knows? It's Thursday. It is Thursday. Let's start with a look outside. That sounds like a good idea. I'm going to get focused. I'm going to have some coffee. I haven't had all the coffee yet, so that might be it. All right, so here's a look outside from our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Just a couple of clouds here and there, otherwise not bad. Great view from MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line in Joplin, again looking back to the south. And we do have a heat advisory for some of our northern counties, so that's going to be Coffee, Anderson, and Linn counties up there. And this runs until 8 o'clock. We could see those heat index values in the upper 90s in those areas as we head through the evening today. Now the future track through the afternoon and into the early evening hours were actually relatively decent. By about late afternoon, early evening, we'll see clouds increasing. By 8, we're going to start to see a few isolated showers out there, and then we've got the opportunity for some thunderstorms overnight tonight, at least for some of us. We'll break that down here in just a moment. Take a look at these temperatures. We told you yesterday was going to be the last near normal day we have, and that's fact, because we're already upper 60s, low 70s here at 5 o'clock in the morning on this Thursday. Temperatures today will be warmer than they were yesterday, upper 80s, highs about 90, and we're going to start to see a few more low 90s out in our western counties. And then again, clouds will gradually begin to increase this evening ahead of those incoming shower and thunderstorm chances. But before that, sunny and hot. We're going to take another look at your forecast, talk about the heat risks that we have across the area and the thunderstorm chances here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
Thanks, Chris. A 5-year-old boy is dead following an accident involving a semi-tractor unit yesterday in a small Jasper County, Missouri community. Police say the truck was parked in a private driveway in the village of Reeds, and the driver was standing on the driver's side steps with the engine running. Authorities say the truck was out into gear and jolted forward, striking the 5-year-old boy from Lockwood, Missouri. The child died at the scene. At last report, authorities had not yet released the name of that boy. Authorities in Neosho County, Kansas, are investigating a fatal crash involving a bicylid, Tuesday night. Troopers say a bicyclist on a Santa Fe Avenue collided with the side and rear of a vehicle making a right turn. This bicyclist, 67-year-old Harvey Morris Love of Chanute, died at the scene. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Well, a nearly century-old structure in Neosho, Missouri is now in pieces. The city yesterday began the demolition of the water tower at Dewey and Finney Avenue. The tower was built in 1926 and decommissioned in 1984. The city added another larger tank next to it in 1956, and city officials now say the old tank is an eyesore and serves no purpose, prompting the demolition.
So we sent out bids for demolition companies, multiple bids sent out. We had 3 bids back, one from Icer Construction out of Michigan, and then I don't recall the other company. They ended up coming in about $10,000 under budget.
The current remaining water tower, built in 1956, has 400,000-gallon tanks. Well, a Joplin soup kitchen is seeking donations to feed its growing number of clients. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
Soup Kitchen volunteers at St. Peter's Outreach House start prepping meals at 8 a.m. to pass out hundreds of to-go meals by 11 a.m. However, as the demand grows, it's harder to keep their shelves stocked.
We are in desperate need of canned goods. We go through approximately 15 gallons of canned goods a day. So if there's anyone in the community or anybody wants to make a donation of canned goods to us, we'll take anything. Canned vegetables, canned fruit, canned beans.
The most demanding season for the kitchen is summertime.
We're averaging now a minimum of 400 a day. Today we're anticipating it could be as many as 500. And we're seeing, since the children are out of school, we're seeing a lot of children coming too. It'll go back down, we anticipate, in the fall. Maybe a third will go down, when people get back to, the kids go back to school, and a lot of our homeless population that are transient move on, because a lot of times they're filtering in here from somewhere else.
The kitchen does not have any requirements for those needing a meal.
But we'll feed anybody. There's no requirement. Anybody's welcome at our door. All we require is we have to keep track of numbers, and we take a name. That's it.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Is open Monday through Wednesday and Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes coming up on the KOAM Morning News. We'll hear the story of a Parsons athlete who overcame adversity to accomplish his gridiron goals. Plus, Pope Francis is accused once again of using an offensive term to describe gay men. And rain chances return for tonight. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
An incoming college freshman from Parsons has overcome long odds to continue his football career. KOAM Sports Director John Dales has the story on the former Viking preparing to play at the next level.
Jason Queeran is going to be signing to play football at the University of Central Arkansas.
Central Arkansas football signee and Parsons graduate Jace Queeran has been playing the sport for a long time.
I started playing football in third grade. Back then I played a little bit of linebacker, a lot of defense, and I wasn't very good at it.
Quickly though, Queeran found the position for him. Kicker.
I started doing it like at that third grade, fourth grade year when they just said, hey, we need somebody to do it, and I wasn't very good, so I wasn't getting a lot of playing time, so I was like, a way to see the field, cool. But then about my seventh grade year, eighth grade year, I kind of embraced it as like the thing that I might be good at if I worked hard at it.
Hard work is an understatement.
That entailed kicking a lot. You're not supposed to kick as much as I did, but I'd just be out there on the field all day, every day kicking. We built a goalpost in our yard, actually.
You heard that right. A full-length goalpost in the Queeran family's yard.
It started kicking over the basketball goal in the front yard because it's the same height as the crossbar. But then we turned into me and my grandpa building a goalpost out in the side of our yard.
But early in his high school career, a life-changing event kept Queeran off the field.
We had a side-by-side rollover my freshman year right when I qualified for state golf. So ended up having 23 broken bones, 2 torn ligaments in my foot. And the doctors were worried about me walking. That's what my mom was really worried about.
Which led to a long recovery process.
So it ended up being three surgeries that we had to go through, one in June, one in July, one in the beginning of August. So I got to school. I was able to use crutches at school that year.
After missing his entire sophomore year, Queeran returned to the field and was successful enough to get a D1 offer from Central Arkansas, all of which he says wouldn't be possible without the support from those around him.
This town is filled with great people, and it's a really special place, and you just don't experience that if you haven't gone through something like I have. You know, if you haven't had that community rally behind you, you probably don't think that this is the best place in the world. But once you've experienced what I've experienced from this town, you see that you're really grateful to be here.
With the Parsons community behind him, Queeran begins his college football career at Central Arkansas this fall. John Dales, KOAM Sports.
Freshman season at Central Arkansas begins on August 31st against Arkansas State. For more details on that story, you can head to the sports page on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/sports. Still to come, we're going to see why new research shows that space flight can be a rough experience on the human body. Plus, got another check of that forecast and just how hot it's going to get when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:15 on this Thursday morning. This is a look. We've talked about the possibility of some strong to low-grade severe thunderstorms late tonight. This is what we're breaking down to. So we have a very low tornado risk. We don't have any areas highlighted. We do have a low wind risk for some large hail, and we have a low to elevated risk for some damaging wind gusts with these storms. Now, not everybody's going to see storms. And remember, when they paint these swaths, just because you're in it doesn't always mean you're necessarily going to see something. So let's look at what we're expecting down the road. Now, for most of today, we are sunny, we are hot, and it is going to be uncomfortable to say the least. Now, as we head into the evening, we're going to start to see some clouds increasing out to the west, and we'll see those showers start to roll in after 8. Then by about 11 o'clock, you can see just a couple of thunderstorms edging into our northern counties in southeast Kansas. Then we're back to this complex. This complex showed up on future track data yesterday. It kind of disappeared, and now it's back, but it's a little further to the west than where it was yesterday, but it's roughly the same complex. So now Fredonia, Chinook, Parsons, Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, Nevada, and Stockton, we have this thunderstorm complex. It could make it as far south as Interstate 44, and then you see also how quickly it dies out. So that's going to be our window after midnight and before 4 a.m. for any of those stronger storms. But even then, we're not expecting anything too crazy. We go through the day on Friday. We're partly cloudy. Again, future track still trying to show maybe a pop-up shower or storm out there. But then overnight and very early into Saturday morning, we could see another round of at least isolated showers and thunderstorms by Saturday morning. So again, on the future track data, there's some conflict on exactly where these showers and storms will be. But from late Friday night into early Saturday, we could see a few of those out there. And then they will be gone, and the rest of our Saturday will be hot. Once again, UV index today is very high at a 10, so make sure you are taking precautions out there. And with the temperatures again continuing to climb, you want to make sure that you are staying hydrated. In fact, we now have heat advisories for Anderson, Coffee, and Linn counties in southeast Kansas through 8 o'clock, where heat index values could reach the upper 90s out there. So this is a look at our heat risk. This is something new that we've got here, and this shows where we've got a moderate risk for dangerous heat, basically, for excessive heat. We head into Friday, and you see that moderate risk overspreads more of the area, and even more so by Saturday. Sunday into Monday, though, we're now into this major risk for potentially dangerous heat, and it's across a good portion of the area, and by Monday, even just a couple of spots of extreme heat possible. So you want to make sure that you're taking precautions and being cautious and being careful out there as we head through the next few days, because this summer heat is certainly on the way. 70 in Joplin right now, south breeze at 10, skies are otherwise mostly clear. Around the area, again, a very mild start for us as we've got temperatures upper 60s and low 70s. So as we mentioned yesterday, that's going to continue to be the trend over the next several days as we really settle into some summer heat. Sunny skies through the morning, low 80s by 11 o'clock this morning, and that's ahead of highs today, upper 80s, low 90s once again. Falling back in the low 70s today, or tonight rather, low 90s again tomorrow. Temperatures holding out low to mid 90s through the weekend. We got those morning showers Saturday, maybe an isolated late storm or two on Sunday, and then maybe a couple of late evening thunderstorms by next Wednesday. But regardless of the rain, as you can see, temperatures remaining quite hot. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, it's one of the most common disorders in the world. It's estimated that at least 39 million Americans live with migraine, according to the American Migraine Foundation. And experts say summer weather can trigger attacks. Mandy Gaither has more on how to manage and avoid heat-induced migraines.
High temperatures, changes in barometric pressure, intense sunlight, all can trigger symptoms for those with migraine disorder.
We absolutely know that there is a correlation. We don't always fully understand why.
Symptoms vary from person to person, but can include unbearable head pain, nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light, noise, and/or smells. An attack can last from 4 hours to several days and can be triggered this time of year, says neurologist Dr. Rashmi Halker Singh with Mayo Clinic.
I think with changes in sunlight and the length of days, it can sometimes take people out of their normal routine and schedule. And people who live with migraine actually do much better with a typical routine.
To manage and potentially prevent an attack, Halker Singh says to remember the word SEEDS. The S stands for sleep. Sticking to a regular sleep schedule can help. E is for eating. Don't skip meals and make sure you stay hydrated while limiting caffeine. The next E is for exercise. Stay physically active. D is for diary. Keep track of what triggers an attack. And finally, the second S stands for stress management. Stress can be a trigger.
Sunglasses can make a big difference when we're thinking about being exposed to bright lights and that sunlight. All of that can really help.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The doctor says while we can do things to help ourselves avoid migraine symptoms, it's ultimately a genetic problem. She says if a person is having frequent disabling attacks, it's a good idea to see a doctor for treatment options. Well, Johnson & Johnson will pay $700 million in a settlement regarding its talcum powders. The deal resolves allegations the company misled customers about the safety of its talcum-based products. Legal battles and investigations into a link between cancer and talc have been ongoing for a decade. More than 50,000 claims have been filed against the company, and most involve women who have developed ovarian cancer. As part of the settlement, J&J will no longer use talc in any of its products, and it's pulled talc powders off the shelves in North America 4 years ago. Well, new research shows that space flight can be a rough experience on the human body. This comes amid increased interest in commercial space flight and a renewed focus on sending people to the moon and eventually to Mars. Research published Tuesday in the journal Nature Portfolio shows that space travel can spark a host of medical issues. Researchers looked at data on 4 volunteers who went to space and 64 NASA astronauts. They found that space flight could increase the risk of bone loss, muscle atrophy, and kidney stones. It could even disrupt the immune system. Studies showed women seem better equipped to handle the stress of space flight. However, earlier studies suggest they have more of a risk of developing certain kinds of cancer from space radiation. The battle over IFE access is heating up once again on Capitol Hill. Jared Halpern has more from Washington.
We as a nation have to stand up right now to secure the basic rights.
I am so proud to be here.
Democrats on Capitol Hill are gearing up for a Thursday vote on their recently unveiled Right to IVF Act, which would make in vitro fertilization treatments legal nationwide. Lawmakers say the bill is the only way to ensure IVF access continues after several states put some treatments on hold, citing statewide reproductive laws passed after Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court.
Our pro-family, pro-freedom bill would protect access to IVF, expand IVF coverage for veterans, and make it easier to afford fertility care.
It is part of a broader election year push by Democrats focusing on reproductive rights. Last week, they held a vote on a bill to make contraception legal under federal law, and they say more will be coming as the 2024 campaign ramps up.
We will protect all reproductive health care for women in this country.
But Republicans have remained united against these bills so far. They successfully blocked the Right to Contraception Act last week and say they're expecting the same outcome with the IVF bill, which some Republicans call an election year Trojan horse that's more about abortion than IVF.
I mean, it's not really about IVF. I mean, I want to be clear. I support IVF 100%. There's all kinds of abortion language in the so-called IVF bill.
And congressional Democrats are also taking their fight to the White House, asking President Biden to make IVF coverage part of the health care plan for all federal employees.
And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We've got ourselves a very mild start to the day. It's going to be another hot one with some rain chances for some of us tonight. We'll have another look at your forecast when we come back.
Right now at 5:30, Joplin police enjoy a field trip to South Middle School for a police camp.
We've got a mild start to the day out there, a much hotter day across the area, and possibility of some showers. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, the Crawford County Historical Museum hosts another round of Wacky Wednesday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:29. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner, and it is Thursday, almost to Friday. We're going to make it. I think we're going to make, I don't know anymore. I think we are. We're doing
gamble.
okay. We made it to Thursday.
Yeah.
It's only one more day.
I like Thursday.
I think we can do this. We've got this, but you do want to make sure you're taking precautions.
Right.
And you're staying hydrated. It's definitely
and you're
heating
protecting
up.
your skin too as well. Make
Yes,
sure you're
'cause
putting on that sunscreen.
A lot of folks don't always take into consideration that sunscreen or skin protection when they're simply working outside. You think about it, you head to the pool or down to the river, you're like, okay, get the sunscreen and all this because you're planning on being outside. But when you're working outside, just doing simple things, you still have to be safe.
Absolutely.
Because that UV index can still be dangerous. Let's start with a look outside from the MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line in Joplin, pointed back to the south. We're looking pretty good so far. Quick reminder, we do have heat advisories in southeast Kansas for Coffee, Anderson, and Lynn counties, and these run through 8 as heat index values could reach the upper 90s today. Outside of that, we're still looking at heat index values low mid-90s possibly. We'll go through most of the day dry, and we'll start to see clouds gradually increasing late this afternoon and into the evening ahead of some shower chances late tonight and thunderstorm chances overnight tonight. We'll get to those thunderstorm chances a little later. This morning, though, take a look at how mild we are. We mentioned yesterday is going to be the last normal overnight, and that's the case. We're already upper 60s and a number of low 70s as we get the day started. We're looking at highs today, upper 80s, a few more low 90s out there, especially into southeastern Kansas. Sunny skies. And then we'll see the clouds increase, and then we'll see that opportunity for some showers and storms overnight tonight. We will look at that and just how hot it's going to continue to get in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon, Chris. The Joplin Police Department is putting on a police camp for kids at South Middle School. The entire week is filled with information about the department and demonstrations performed by the officers. Yesterday, students got to engage with the department's SWAT division. They could get inside the SWAT armed vehicle and interact with some of the equipment used by the SWAT team.
Well, just this week, the Kids Academy, them being able to get to see all the different things that the Joplin Police Department has to offer between K-9 Division, Traffic Enforcement, our SWAT team, Investigations Division. So it's just nice for them to be able to see all the different things that the Joplin Police Department has to offer.
It helps you figure out more about it, and it lets you know that they're good people and they'll always help.
The Kids Police Academy will resume for the rest of the week. Well, the Pittsburgh Public Library brought out the Pirates yesterday for the Adventure Begins Summer Storytime session. The session runs from June 3rd through July 24th. Tuesday and Wednesday story times are at 10 a.m. and will take place in the shade at the beautiful Lincoln Park. And keep your eye out for the look for Pittsburgh Public Library's Bookmobile. The event is always fun and special, but yesterday maybe even more so because it featured pirates and puppets. The Crawford County Historical Museum yesterday hosted another round of Wacky Wednesday. For the month of June, the museum is inviting kiddos out for some fun and educational demonstrations. Yesterday's event, called Little Museum on the Prairie, taught the kids how to make hand-dipped candles and apple juice. They also did some butter churning, corn swelling, and clothes washing, just like the pioneers.
We take what has really worked well in the past and that the parents have requested, oh, are you going to do Little Museum on the Prairie again this year? Or are you going to make homemade ice cream? So we try to build on what we've done in the past and make it a little bit better, a little bit bigger.
The museum has 2 more Wacky Wednesdays left this month. including Life on the Trail on the 19th and Baby Goats and Farmhouse Ice Cream on the 26th. Maybe the best part of Wacky Wednesdays? They're free. Well, Commerce Days got underway yesterday in Commerce, Oklahoma. Folks flocked to Commerce High School to enjoy some food, arts and crafts, vendors, and games. There's also a carnival until 10 and live music from the Full Throttle Band until 11.
It's a fun place, family friendly. Basically, if you want funnel cakes, any kind of carnival food, come here.
So far, actually, I think it's kind of fun. It's really kid-friendly and really animal-friendly, and I think it's probably one of the best places to bring, if you have kids or pets, bring them out here.
Commerce Days runs through Saturday. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Family members of hostages and other protesters demand the Israeli government accept a hostage release deal. Plus, the U.S. is sending warships to monitor a convoy of Russian vessels in the Caribbean Sea. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Topping World Watch, President Biden is in Italy ahead of the G7 summit. He's looking for allied support in Ukraine's war with Russia and for a ceasefire proposal between Israel and Hamas. Peter Ducey has the story.
Look, I haven't spoken to the president about this since the verdict came out.
In the past, the press secretary was able to say President Biden wouldn't pardon his son. Now she can't answer about a potential way around that promise.
You're not ruling out that he would commute the sentence. What I'm saying is that the president, I have not spoken to the president about this.
A luxurious resort near the Adriatic Sea in Italy will host this week's G7 summit. And as leaders look for solutions to the war in Gaza, the Wall Street Journal is publishing notes from Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Quote, Sinwar cited civilian losses in national liberation conflicts in places such as Algeria, where hundreds of thousands of people died fighting for independence from France, saying these are necessary sacrifices. Israel says Hamas is rejecting a ceasefire deal backed by the U.S., whose top diplomat is growing impatient with the process.
Hamas could have answered with a single word: yes. Instead, Hamas waited nearly 2 weeks and then proposed more changes.
Also on the G7 agenda, Ukraine. As National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan writes, we are aware of new and credible reports that Russian authorities are listing abducted Ukrainian children on Russian adoption websites. This is despicable and appalling. President Biden emphasizes his skills as a statesman, yet plans to skip a dinner with other leaders.
I wouldn't read too much into him not going to one dinner.
During the flight to Italy aboard Air Force One, the press secretary refused to disclose which Biden family members were on board. There are reports that the day after their dad's felony convictions, all of Hunter's adult children, Finnegan, Naomi, and Maisie, are on this official presidential trip to Italy.
Pope Francis is accused once again of using an offensive term to describe gay men in a meeting on Tuesday, just 2 weeks after he was accused of using the slur in another closed-door meeting. An Italian news agency says Francis used the word while suggesting gay men should be welcomed in the church but not welcome in seminaries. The news agency, citing unnamed sources, says he used the slur while in a private meeting with Roman priests at the Salesian Pontifical University. It was reported the pontiff allegedly used the same word on May 20th while meeting privately with bishops. The Vatican responding by saying in a statement the Pope was reiterating the church should welcome people with homosexual tendencies and also be cautious regarding their entry into the seminary. Well, family members of hostages and other protesters demand the Israeli government accept a hostage release deal in Tel Aviv. Demonstrators holding signs that read "Human life has no price" and "A deal now" as they rallied in the streets. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has been in the Middle East to push for a ceasefire deal. One demonstrator says they believe outside pressure will make Israel finally reach an agreement. Blinken saying officials will continue working on a deal after Hamas proposed changes to the recent version of the ceasefire proposal. Well, echoes of the Cuban Missile Crisis 62 years ago. The U.S. is sending warships and aircraft to monitor a convoy of Russian vessels in the Caribbean Sea for military drills with Cuba. Jennifer Griffin has more from the Pentagon.
The Pentagon began monitoring the 4 Russian warships as they crossed the Atlantic and conducted live-fire exercises intended to simulate an attack on enemy ships. Early Wednesday, Russian warships were seen entering the port of Havana. Echoes of the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, when Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev reached a secret deal with Fidel Castro to place Soviet nuclear missiles 90 miles from Key West, Florida.
That a series of offensive missile sites.
President Kennedy ordered a naval quarantine. It was the closest the two countries had ever come to nuclear war. On Tuesday, Russian warships sailed less than 30 miles off Florida's south coast. Ships from the U.S. Second Fleet, U.S. Fourth Fleet, and U.S. Coast Guard Atlantic area shadowed them. U.S. intelligence assesses there are no nuclear weapons on board these ships, but the Russian flotilla does include the Kazan nuclear-powered submarine. The Pentagon downplayed the provocative exercises in its backyard.
This is not a surprise. We've seen them do these type of port calls before. We, of course, take it seriously, but these exercises don't pose a threat to the United States.
In Moscow, Russia's foreign minister thanked his Cuban counterpart for taking Russia's side in Ukraine.
We are grateful to our Cuban friends for their principled position on the situation around Ukraine. From the very beginning, Havana assessed the ongoing events, outlining absolutely correct.
It's notable that Russia did not send its only aircraft carrier, the Admiral Kuznetsov, to Cuba. It's currently out of service. Also notable that Ukraine has sunk nearly half of Russia's Black Sea fleet in the past 2 years, including a prize submarine.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:45 now on this Thursday morning, and we're taking a look at our risk for some strong to low-grade severe thunderstorms as we head overnight tonight. Now, right now, no areas highlighted for tornado threats. That leaves that very low, but we do have a low-end hail risk across some of our northern counties, and then we have a low to elevated wind risk across the northern half of our area as well. So we're not looking at widespread significant severe weather by any means, but we could see some stronger storms as we head overnight tonight. Through the majority of today, though, we are going to be sunny, and it is going to be warm, and it's going to be straight up hot. It won't be until later this evening that we'll start to see a few clouds building into southeastern Kansas, and then by after 8, some isolated to widely scattered showers initially. By 11, a couple of thunderstorms starting to get into our northern counties, and we're looking at this complex of storms expected to shift south across the area, and this is where our opportunity, again, after about midnight is going to come for those strong to potentially severe thunderstorms. So this complex was on future track yesterday at this time, but it was a little further to the east than where it is now. So we were looking at it stretching back, say, Fredonia, Chanute, Parsons, Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, Nevada, Stockton. And this may actually reach as far south as the I-44 corridor before it begins to die out toward tomorrow morning. Then throughout the day Friday, future track again, still trying to show the possibility of an isolated pop-up shower or storm during the afternoon. I think majority of us will remain dry, but a stray shower or storm in the afternoon, early evening is possible. It won't again be until overnight, Friday night rather, into Saturday morning that we'll see another round of storms. So there's some disagreement on the data is exactly when this storm complex will roll through, but at least on the future track right now, it's showing at 7 o'clock Saturday morning, and it's also confining it to our northern counties. So we'll just have to see how that plays out over the next day and see what kind of new updates come in. And then we'll spend most of Saturday dry, and then we'll have another opportunity for some showers and storms late Sunday out there. Our UV index, once again, at 10, very high. Puts your burn time at 10 minutes for unprotected skin. So do, again, make sure that you are taking precautions to protect your skin. Also staying hydrated. We do have the heat advisories up for Coffee, Anderson, and Linn counties in southeast Kansas through 8 o'clock tonight. Heat index values could get pretty close to 100 degrees up there. Our heat risk potential for dangerous heat is at a moderate for today. At moderate spreads over the area on Friday and Saturday. And by Sunday, as temperatures rise a bit, we're now getting a little more of that major risk for significant heat across the area. So as we head into Monday as well, take a look at major risk over a good portion of the area, even seeing little bits of extreme heat out there. So we're talking, it's not necessarily the air temperature. As you folks here in the 4 states know, it's going to be that heat index that's going to get us, as we could see it climbing into the triple digits as we start next week. And then we'll start to see it die back just a little bit. Still moderate across the area by Tuesday, but at least a little better out there. As we go through today, again, highs upper 80s and low 90s. Low 90s again Friday, and temperatures rising again through the beginning of next week into the low 90s. Could see again a late storm Sunday. We'll dry out Monday, Tuesday, maybe a couple of evening storms Wednesday. Regardless of the rain, temperatures stay hot during the day, mild overnight with lows in the 70s. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Let's stay in entertainment news. 2 very different animated movies, both about finding your place in the world. David Daniel has a look in our Hollywood Minute.
We've been waiting for you, Coraline.
If you've been waiting to see Coraline on the big screen again, you're in luck. Henry Selick's stop-motion fantasy horror film based on the Neil Gaiman novella is returning to theaters remastered in stereoscopic 3D. You can revisit the other world for 1 week beginning August 15th. More info at Coraline.com.
Incident report. At 0300 hours, a number of Universal Dynamics robots were lost in a typhoon. Chance of recovery is unlikely.
Here's a look at the new trailer for The Wild Robot, about an android shipwrecked on an island who has to learn to adapt to life with the animals. The voice cast includes Lupita Nyong'o, Pedro Pascal, Catherine O'Hara, Bill Nighy, Stephanie Hsu, and Mark Hamill. The Wild Robot lands in theaters September 27th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Well, a nearly 200-year-old piece of history can be yours for free. But there's a catch. Patrick Cornell has that story, and take a look at this.
Broken windows and worn-out paint don't do justice to this once prodigious property. And if you want to fix it up, it's all yours. You simply have to be willing to literally pick it up and move it. Photos posted to Facebook by the Eastern Pennsylvania Preservation Society show the Hood Mansion in Limerick back in its heyday. The once gleaming exterior, now in need of some serious love. The center hall, it's gonna need a lot of work, and the living areas certainly need a new coat of paint. The rundown property was built in 1834 by John McClellan Hood. It boasts 17 rooms across 5,000 square feet. The Preservation Society says the home remained in the family until the 1980s and was in great shape until just the last few years. Without a new owner, the Preservation Society says the property will be reduced to a pile of rubble, so they're looking to unload it quickly if you're in need of a fixer-upper. Next, a kite surfer stranded on a California beach concocted a creative way to get rescued. CAL FIRE says the man gathered nearby rocks to work up a help sign. A private helicopter passing by spotted the signal and sent in the SOS. It didn't take long for rescuers to arrive on the scene, sending down a team to pluck the man out of the predicament, lifting him up and over the cliff that kept him captive. Our last story will have you seeing double and double and double. Count them, 24 sets of graduating twins. Pollard Middle School in Needham, Massachusetts is set to send them from 8th to 9th grade. And the kids haven't wasted the moment engaging in a little fraternal pranking.
Like on April Fool's Day, we switched classes, and it actually worked too.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
That's a lot of twins. Stick around. We'll be right back. A startling video shows a deer crashing into a bus windshield in Rhode Island. The video from the bus shows the deer first gallivanting into oncoming traffic before throwing itself through the vehicle's windshield. Crashing into a man is sitting in the front and then falling on the floor. Officials said there were 6 passengers on the bus at the time of the accident, and 2 were taken to the hospital to be treated for minor injuries caused by the broken glass from the windshield. Well, Joey Chestnut's next hot dog eating contest is coming to Netflix. Chestnut found himself in hot water after agreeing to a partnership with Impossible Foods plant-based hot dogs. The deal ultimately led to his disqualification from this year's Nathan's Famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest. But Chestnut has already found his next gig competing against his longtime rival Takeru Kobashi. The streaming giant announced yesterday that it will stream the Labor Day event titled Chestnut vs. Kobashi Unfinished Beef. Subscribers will be able to watch this special on September 2nd, and this is Netflix's latest leap into live sports programming.
That's what I was just getting ready to say, live sports programming. Does that mean that what we're doing is a sport?
Sometimes it feels like it.
Like the sprint we do to get down here, are we doing sports right now?
Yeah.
Okay, see, then why aren't we on Netflix? We should be on Netflix.
We should be on Netflix.
We
there
absolutely
you go.
should
Make
be
the deal
on
happen,
Netflix.
Chris.
That's what we need to do. We'll get our sports of, doing like this here for a while on Netflix, and you can sit at home and enjoy because it's going to be hot outside. You won't want to go out anyway. Sunny skies, 83 by 11 o'clock this morning. Temperatures today, upper 80s, low 90s, and a lot more low 90s across southeast Kansas as well. UV index is still high, so make sure you're protecting your skin and staying hydrated. Then clouds gradually increase in the evening, a few showers out to the west, and by about 11 o'clock midnight tonight, some thunderstorm chances, at least for some of us, and some of those could be strong to low-grade severe before they fizzle out toward tomorrow morning, but we'll keep an eye on them for you. Falling back into the low 70s tonight. Similar situation tomorrow, low 90s, and then some evening thunderstorms late Friday, early Saturday, some evening thunderstorms on Sunday, and some evening thunderstorms on Wednesday. Outside of that, temperatures remain hot as we stay in the low 90s and mid 90s even, overnight lows in the 70s. We'll be back with more right after this.